Time now for our Leave Them Kids Alone segment. We'll be talking about this a lot on O'Connor tonight. One upside of the COVID-19 pandemic is that even though our kids were forced to do all of their lesson plans and attend school at a cheesy little laptop on our kitchen table, which was not good for them, it wasn't good for their education, it wasn't good for their social interaction, it wasn't good for their mental health. It was good for us to be able to actually see an insight into how teachers' unions, school boards, school systems really take our kids for granted and put them on the back burner. Oh, I know for years they said, oh, it's all about the kids. We're the only ones who care about the kids. Well, they didn't do much to try to get our kids back into the classroom, did they? We also had an insight into what the curriculum looks like, something many of us probably didn't pay attention to at all. So now something remarkable is happening. School board meetings all across the country have now become ground zero for parents taking back their kids' education. Not just that, but also drawing a line in the sand with the teachers' unions, with the members of these school systems, and yes, Democrats, elected officials, who will go so far as to claim that those kids aren't really the parents' kids. No, they're more the government bureaucrats' responsibility. So what's happening and how will it affect upcoming elections? To discuss that and more is the director of Independent Women's Network, one of the organizations on the forefront of this battle, Julie Gunlock. Julie, I'm so excited to talk to you. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
So you tell me, I mean, Independent Women's Network, this is sort of a clearinghouse for moms mostly around the country to be able to share their horror stories, but even more importantly, share some really proactive ideas on how to get in front of this story and actually take back the narrative. What are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Oh, you nailed it, Larry. We're not here just to inform parents and offer a gathering place for parents to come together and talk about issues that are important to them. We offer resources. You know, it can be really intimidating to go to a school board meeting. Some people have never done it. But when COVID happened, suddenly parents are like, I got to stand up. I've got to talk about this. I've got to tell my school board how I feel. But again, it can be intimidating. So one thing that the network does is we offer resources. And what I mean by that is actually talking points. If you're concerned about masks, but you don't have time to look up all the studies that say masks have actually harmed kids, we have those for you. If you want a draft letter on school closures, most of them, all of them are open now, but I feel like they could close at any minute.
Oh, yeah.
We have those draft letters. As you know, in Virginia, Governor Youngkin just passed new pro-parent policies. The comment section is open. And so some parents are like, how do I've never put in comments into a government website. We have draft comments. So it is, I think parents have asked for this, and we're trying to respond to that and provide them the resources that they need.
You mentioned Virginia. You live in Northern Virginia. This is a wealthy, Tony, elitist, let's face it, liberal suburb of Washington, D.C., and it's been ground zero for these battles from the Fairfax County School Board, Alexandria City School Board, and of course, the infamous Loudoun County School Board meetings. Talk to me about watching that fuse get lit and how this thing really started to grow last year.
You know, I think it really started, it started more than 2 years ago. You know, I think when the schools first closed, there was a lot of sympathy, right? There was a lot of grace given. I heard that a lot. Please give us grace as we try to figure this out. There was a lot of grace given. There was a lot of patience. That started to, sort of wear thin pretty, like within a year. People were saying, okay, we're over the worst of this. It seems like this COVID, especially after the vaccine was released, right? And the teachers pushed themselves to the front of the line and then said, but we're not coming back into the school. We're still going to keep the schools closed. Right. I think at that point, parents were like, what is happening here? And then, of course, you had all of this, sort of hearing what kids were learning on Zoom. You were actually a part of that because we were all home. And a lot of parents were sort of horrified by the lack of real educational standards. And so I watched this. I was a part of this. It was really amazing. And because of the lack of parent advocacy on the part of organizations like the PTA, okay? You have the birth of a million of these parent advocacy groups, IWN being one of them. I think it's the best, but being one of them. And that's because parents really needed to stand up for themselves because, again, there really was no one doing it for them.
Well, yeah, people feel like they don't have a voice. And you get to the school board meeting where these are supposed to be your elected officials. They say they're going to represent you. And of course, these school board elections are always nonpartisan, but you very quickly find out that, hey, it may not be partisan, but they definitely have an allegiance. That's to the very well-funded teachers union.
That's right.
And we're talking about obscenities in the library. These books are atrocious that an 11-year-old can get.
Yeah, it really is shocking. And again, I think, Larry, it's what we've spent the last couple of years doing as parents is going, I had no idea it was this bad. That's what I think, the first year has been awareness. Just telling parents, did you know what your kids are learning? The other thing that's been really interesting is how far many schools have strayed from the basics, right? From the basics of, the phrase reading, writing, and arithmetic. And the other thing with the inclusion of CRT and radical gender ideology, when parents ask to see the curriculum, they might not see CRT or radical gender ideology. It's because it's weaved through the system. So if your child's going to diagram a sentence, that sentence might be gender as a social construct, right? It might be something. So
it's just an English class. We're just learning about verbs and subjects.
America is a racist country.
Right, there you go.
This is actually what this is what happened with my son, and one of the main reasons I pulled him out of the public school. So I think parents also learned that even when they ask for the curriculum, they're not getting the full story.
Yeah. So here we are, we're in Washington, D.C., so it's actually, it's a law here that every issue in our country has to be shot through the lens of partisan political politics. So, and especially with the midterms coming up, you think, oh, this is just school curriculum, it's school boards, it's a local thing. No, no, no. I've seen this happening now. Almost every single person running for the House of Representatives, they have to take a stand on this issue. How does this actually manifest in terms of what a member of Congress might say about these issues?
Well, I think voters need to be really wise here and really smart. They need to listen to how people running are talking about parents' rights, and you get certain code words. Certainly in Virginia, with Governor Youngkin passing this pro-parent, it's new guidance to schools. You'll get things like that. The Democrats running will say things like, we want to protect trans kids. It sounds good, but what they really want to do is keep parents out of the decisions. They want to keep secrets from parents. So voters have to be very savvy, because I think especially on the sort of trans kids schools debate, some people feel uncomfortable. They want, kids who have gender dysphoria or identify as trans to be treated with kindness and compassion, and nobody is denying that. That is true. But with many of these kids, they have underlying mental health issues that really do require parents to be informed of these things. And so I think it's really important that voters be very, very savvy, very smart, understand the sort of like language that Democrats use. It's not that Republicans are advocating for trans kids to be abused. We just want parents to be part of this process. These are very young children, and they need their parents' involvement.
They sure do. And let's just face it, these secrets that the teachers want to keep from parents, they are of the most sensitive, sexual, mental health nature. A creepy dude in a white van going up to the playground trying to keep these secrets with your kids would be a felony.
Right.
A teacher shouldn't be able to get away with it. Julie Gunlock, Independent Women's Network, will have you back, because this is the issue we care most about. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
More to come on O'Connor Tonight.